say if you want to try to make music, or if you want to be, a self advocate for yourself or for other people, take a step out of your comfort zone. It is going to be hard, but again, it's going to be worth the risks. I mean, don't be afraid of failing. And if something doesn't go right, it's not the end of the world. Just get back up and try again.
Tony Hernandez Pumarejo, writer and author, professional and motivational speaker, TV presenter, life coach, an international ambassador for autism and mental health. He is proud to invite you to his podcast, My Time, with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo.
Hi, and welcome to this new episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And this is your host, Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. And today I have a very special guest, I have a great friend, a fellow autistic self-advocate who has a unique, story that, that I personally, I wanted to learn more about for a very long time. And the work that he does, sometimes he makes me like, I have to say it jealous because he meets so many interesting people, celebrities, and his story is one of a kind. So I had the honor and privilege of interviewing today. His name is Shane Campfield. He's here, based in Orlando, in Florida. He was diagnosed with autism at age 7, or in 2002. He has gone through a lot of struggles, which we're going to learn more about during this interview. And he does different jobs as a photographer, influencer, entrepreneur, public speaker, advocate, and so much more. So I would like to welcome, Shane Campfield to our podcast, My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. Thank you, Shane, for participating in this interview. I greatly appreciate it.
Of course, and thank you for having me. I'm very glad that we finally have this going, really happy.
Oh, definitely. And this is not something like was new. We talk about this for some time. I have to say it
We did.
in years
Hmm.
because I've been very curious about your work. I had to be honest, jealous because you meet different celebrities. So I had to be honest. I had to be honest here. So, but before we get to that work that you do, I always ask this question, Shane, and
Hmm.
I want to start with this question. If you can define the life of Shane Campfield in just a few words,
Hmm.
what would those
Let's
words
see
be?
here. It would be kindness, energetic, sporadic, um, empathy, and I would say maybe learning. Like I'm always open to learning new things.
Okay. And so, and
Hmm.
that's what describes your life. Like in
Hmm.
school, you learn from the different experiences. You are a very curious individual. You want to learn about different things, and I think
Hmm.
that's also I can describe your life. Based on what I've known about you and the work that you have done. So going back to a little bit about your story, you were born 90. You're 28, right? You're 28 years old.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, you were born diagnosed with autism. If you could talk a little bit about your childhood, family, how what you were going through as you were growing up.
So pretty much when I was diagnosed around 2002, my parents weren't really familiar with what autism was. I mean, they did the best they can, bless their heart, but I will always love them, but just, their ways weren't really the best. I mean, I learned that like later on in life, and I will always miss them, but yeah, it's kind of complicated. I mean, we did a lot of stuff together, like Disney World, Universal, and all that. My parents were really like theme park enthusiasts, and that kind of rubbed off on me. To really just getting out there, doing different things, and like being very sporadic. So I'm really thankful for having that. engraved in my personality. But as for the autism part, I mean, there wasn't really a lot of support until like 2007 after my mother passed away. When I was taken into UCF Card, with Terry Daly as a director now, and just they kind of helped my dad kind of really take care of me in a way, like provide, oh well, this is what you need to do when he has this behavior, like, oh, take away his PlayStation, and this is what you need to do to have like more of a structure. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. It's very interesting what you mentioned because you were diagnosed in 2002, and autism, we can
Hmm.
say, it wasn't as mainstream as it is today.
Right.
Today we have
Right.
autism everywhere: social media, TV shows, movies, here
Hmm.
and there, events, awareness, acceptance, neurodivergence, all of that. But back then,
Yes.
you were diagnosed in 2002. In my case, I was diagnosed in the early 90s. When I was 3, so even less.
Okay.
It was talk about autism, and it's very interesting what you mentioned.
Hmm.
And what you were going through. Sadly, your mom passed away, and that have an impact in your life. And so is your dad. Is your dad still with you today? Sort of.
Unfortunately not. He passed away in 2010 as soon as I was going into high school. So that was kind of like a double whammy in a way, kind of like, well, I got thrust into like the new world of, being a high school freshman and understanding, that type of setting. And then, with him passing away, it kind of like was really double for me. And just I mean, it was, the waters were kind of rough during the next few years after that, but I got through it. And just I would say it's not like completely healed, it never will be, but just learning to cope with it, I think, is the key. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely, and I cannot imagine. Losing both of your parents at such an young age. It must have been very heartbreaking and tough. But I think that
Yeah.
for you to overcome that, and you continue to overcome that every day, speaks about your strength. And I'm a person of faith. I mean, I believe that God has guided you through those rough times and those in
Mhm.
different situations of your life to become the person that you are today. And I know that, and that you overcome that, those experiences.
Mhm.
Shane, when you were growing up in school, did you have any challenges or like any difficulty making friends in school?
Yeah, I did. I was very hyperactive because I was also diagnosed with ADHD. Because normally, a lot of the time, if you are diagnosed with autism, there's like normally something else that goes with that. Like in my case, there's ADHD. And so I had a hard time focusing, like doing my work and, just interacting with different of my fellow students, and I didn't really have that many, friends growing up. I'm, going to be honest. But again, I mean, this goes back to what my parents, tried to do is when I was in fifth grade, the school that I was at, they didn't really have any, major support, for disabilities. But they fortunately, did take me out of that school to like, and I went to another elementary school that did have, one of those support programs. And so the last year of elementary school was a lot better than what I've experienced, through the past 4 years in the school, you know?
Yeah, it's been I imagine it was not easy at all, to deal with those challenges, especially
Right.
especially with ADHD, autism, and any other condition. You
Yeah.
mentioned and what helped you to overcome those challenges in school? What helped you to keep moving ahead in life as you were growing up, especially in school?
Um, it was more like having other people there, and letting me know that I was never alone. That's the major thing, because even when both parents did pass away, I'm really thankful that I had, the support system around me, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't really have like a good support system to help them. And so just, I kind of did put my faith, in God. I mean, I'm not very religious or very spiritual, but, I do, believe that, out there that there is like, something positive for me, and, something, greater that's happening. And so,
Yeah, I'm very proud of what you have done. I mean, you're a very perseverant individual that, dealing with so much difficult circumstances, keep moving ahead and be able to grow. And that's
yes,
and that's what has helped you to survive in this life, which is not easy. It's even less more. It's more difficult for people that are different, especially like us, as
right.
as autistic individuals. And Shane, obviously, you're going from school. How was going to your like, you went to college. Have that college experience as well.
Uh, I don't really have a college experience yet. I mean, that is in the books for me in the next couple of years. I That's like one of my next steps that I want to try to do. But right after I graduated high school, I just kind of went right to work. Um, and college just didn't seem, right at the time for me. So I think that that time is pretty much coming up really soon, and I can't wait to experience that.
Definitely, and I wish you success once you go to to college to come to do that work. That will be amazing. Shane,
Yes.
do you had after going to high school employment experience? Do you can tell us how was your first job with the public?
Yes. So my first job was gotten through VR, vocational rehabilitation. They're a great organization that helps those, disability or not, to really find work, and to find what really is your best stronghold, and your best like suited job. And so my first one was at a breakfast lunch diner in a way. Have you heard of Kiki's restaurant?
I
Breakfast
have.
Cafe?
I have. I've been
Yeah,
there.
they're so good. They're
They
really
are.
good.
They
And
are.
so my first job was back in the kitchen. Not the most glamorous job, but a job is a job. It was the addition. But yeah, it was fun. I kind of struggled a little bit at it because I wasn't really, familiar with, the kitchen setting, and well, this is what, how the job needs to be done, and just different people there didn't really, teach things the right way, and so, but overall, it was a good experience on me. Um, Unfortunately, it didn't really last that long because I ended up, moving from the home I had throughout my whole high school career. I moved to downtown Orlando, where I'm at now.
Working on those jobs which require a lot of social communication with customers,
Hmm.
very fast paced environment, and I can relate to that. Even though I never work in the restaurant business, but I work in customer service in retail. In this case, I work in doing cashier, sales, talking with people. And a lot of times, if it is so fast paced, I can get a bit anxious. I don't know. I'm assuming the same thing happens with you, that you can get overwhelmed with everything that's going on. But I think that the thing about those jobs that I'm in my case, what helped me was that those jobs are repetitive, long term.
Hmm.
So keep doing the same thing that you're doing, and you're able to do the job very well. And that's what I've always believed. They say of autistic individuals that they have repetitive skills, but those repetitive skills can be, useful in a very positive way.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. I see like a big improvement from my first job I had back there at Kiki's to all the way up to working for all major theme parks in Orlando, because I worked for both, or for Universal, SeaWorld, and Disney World. Like right there, in front of the guests and interacting with them. And I really loved it. I didn't really struggle too much, with that aspect of it. And I'm thank you for reminding me, patting myself on the back, because something, from that end of the spectrum to all the way at the other end, is a great improvement.
Definitely. And I think a lot of times, and I talk about this with parents, and I'm assuming you do you too, in terms of you have to get your children out of their comfort zones. You have to put them in situations that they had to grow because
Hmm.
if your situation is was a very tough situation what you went through growing up from as a child to adult.
Hmm.
And sure, you may have the best support system right now, but the reality is that your parents may not be here, will not be here forever. That's the reality. And one day
Hmm.
that child will grow as an adult, and then, God willing, if they have a great support system, great. If not, then what's going to happen with them? And that continues to increase every year.
Right. And that's the whole point of me having Hurdle, my motivational speaking group. Yeah, just getting out of your comfort zone and just really getting yourself out there, and trying new things. I think is the main goal for Hurdle. Not just for ourselves, but for everybody else.
Definitely, and I'm glad that you mentioned about hurdle. If you can go a little bit detail about what it is for our
Mhm.
audience.
Absolutely. So HURDLE is an acronym for hard work, understanding, realization, determination, leadership, and education. Because me and my business partner, Edward Couture, he also has autism. And so just him and I have very similar stories. And so, we've been friends for about maybe 2 to 3 years at this point, and then we're both like, hey, wait a second. We're both looking for something to do, to express our interests and kind of, spread the positivity and light in the world. And so let's try to create, a concept. And so we came up with Hurdle. And so that goal is to, go around to different, schools, expos, conventions, and, even a YouTube series, which we're about to get started. We're very excited for that, called Spectrum of Hurdles. Check it out when it comes out.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, and it's still in the beginning stages right now. We've had a couple of speaking engagements, like Special Hearts Farm, which is like a locally owned actual farm, to help those, who do have disabilities and, like doing farm work, like taking care of the chickens, taking care of, different animals, like that type of lifestyle.
Oh, definitely. And I'm assuming that I know that your work that you guys have done has been impactful, and it's only beginning. I understand this is something that is in the beginning phase, but you guys are looking towards expanding, across the country, eventually international. So I would definitely put information about Hurdle once once this episode gets published, so that way people can go look at it and support your guys' initiative.
Thank you. But yeah, we're about 2 years old right now, since we formed it, and I think we're doing pretty well. I'm happy, at what we accomplished so far, and it's just the beginning, and the goal is to reach the nation and eventually the world.
Definitely. That sounds great. And something that I wanted to ask you, talking about, your friend that you met, that you're business partners with,
Hmm.
obviously making friends as an autistic individual is not easy, even more for us, especially as adults. And it's
Right.
something that I had to say myself. I had struggles making, true friends. Not, you can make there's one thing's a friend, other thing's a friend. A lot of times we kind of exchange those words, and some
Right.
person that we may say is a friend is not true. It's not really a friend. It's just an acquaintance
Yeah.
or a contact. And this is something I struggle with. I'm being open with you and everybody that is listening. For
Yeah.
if you have any tips or any recommendations, not only obviously not only for me, but for people that are listening this podcast about making friends as an adult, what would those recommendations be?
Um, Kind of observe how people act. Like it can be kind of hard to pick up on, different social cues and, how people react to certain statements and, like how they really interact with you in a way. This is just my opinion. Like I'm going to be honest, it is kind of hard to kind of differentiate, well, this person's a true friend versus, this person is, oh, well, they'll be nice to you, like maybe a coworker or something, but like they're not really like considered your friend. But yeah, I just recommend just really observing how people are, if that makes sense.
Definitely, and to learn, not to be able to make them earn your trust, and always be
Right.
mindful about who you give your trust to people. And especially today, we have with social media and so much fakery that is like, sometimes
Yeah.
it can get under my skin and it can be annoying, and this contributes to mental health. So definitely,
Right.
definitely it is. And your story, I met you, Shane, a couple years ago. I think it was one of our support groups for autistics in Orlando. And I know that we have kept in
Hmm.
touch, and I'm very proud of what you do and the work that you have done, and you have grown to do all these things, and this is only the beginning. And the work that I just and we're gonna go through this right now is, Shane has an interesting job of meeting different celebrities from all over the country and places around the world. And I just want to ask you,
Hmm.
how did this, begin? Was it through your hobbies? When do you have a vision about meeting celebrities? How did this happen? How did it came to be?
Well, first, it started off with my dad, back in 2010, right before he passed away, actually. Like, I'm a big fan of Lady Gaga, you know, and just I was going to that concert, and so I don't know where he got this idea from. I guess he must have tried it himself at some point in time, but he's like, "Oh yeah, do you want to meet her? Like, there's a way to do that. Like, there are certain, areas to wait at and certain like places to be, to meet these people." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's try it." Unfortunately, it didn't work out then. I mean, I did see her, but not really. It's kind of complicated. But ever since then, I kept it like in the back of my mind, saying, "Okay, it would be so cool to actually, do this." Either for a living or do it like, consistently, and so yeah, I went through high school and then, my young adulthood, I'm still a young adult. But, just when I became more independent, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this, So I went out there and I was successful at it. I think I went for Maroon 5 and Tove Lo at the Amway Center here in Orlando. And so I met one of the members, like he went outside, on a phone call, because the reception wasn't good or something inside the arena. And then, I got him to sign my album. And then, I met the opening act, and her name is Tuvlu. I don't know if you heard of her.
Hmm. I'm not sure. I don't remember right now. Sorry.
Oh, so I met her, got a picture with her. And then, from that point on, it felt really good, to meet these people. I mean, I'm not like obsessive over it. Because unfortunately, in this industry, that I do, a lot of people take things personally, and this is a really bad downside to it. It's like, well, they have really bad attitudes. It's like, well, how come you didn't tell me about this person going to be at this hotel, at this time? Because, people do make their money off of this stuff, like getting autographs, like getting certain footage of the celebrity, sending it to TMZ or whatever, tabloid or news stations are out there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And how difficult it is to do this job? I mean, what is the ups and downs about this job, to find celebrities? I mean, how do you get into the contacts? Do you get referrals? I don't know if you're able to share this or not.
It's kind of complicated. I'm gonna try to sum it up the best I can.
Mhm.
So pretty much, you can get like hotel information from different people. Like, oh well, I know, let's say Katy Perry is going to be at this Disney hotel. So just go there, and then either she says yes, yeah, I can take a picture with you, or yeah, I can sign that, or you get a no. So a lot of people do take it personally. Like when this person doesn't want to sign anything, or they weren't very nice about it, so like, yeah, I don't like them anymore. So, that's the main mindset in this whole industry. But, I try not to have that kind of a mindset. Like I just take it with a grain of salt. If they say no, oh, well, if they say yes, then, great, awesome. And there really is a 50-50 success fail rate in this whole thing. It's like, you get the info or they don't show up, like for example, if you have like a flight coming in, Delta flight from Los Angeles, like, I'm trying to think how you would really get that info. Like you either know somebody there, who works for Delta, and they tell you, oh, well, so and so is going to be, on this flight coming in, so go ahead and be there, you know. Um, and sometimes it's not always accurate. It's like, well, they didn't show up for the flight, and they got on a different flight, and it's like very, hectic. You know what I'm saying?
I imagine, you have to be on the move because it's a very high demanding position. And as you mentioned, I mean, overall, it can be summarized. Don't take it personally. No expectations, no disappointments.
Hmm.
Bec-
Exactly. I just do it for the fun of it,
Mhm.
and if they're nice to you, then then great. If not, then oh well, you know. And there are actually times where a person is really mean, like, oh, no, no, don't bother me right now, I'm here, and then the next time I try for them, oh yeah, sure, let's take a picture, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, I can sign that for you.
Mhm.
So it's very weird. So like you don't know what to expect in this whole game that I
And I'm assuming, Shane, that you have like a business card or something to keep in track of all these people, all those connections that you make in this job.
It doesn't really work like that. It's more of like you work for yourself, like in either selling an autograph, like on eBay, or like getting something signed, for somebody else, and they pay you for that. Either they split the profit of, the thing or item that was sold, or like they pay you right there on the spot. Like, oh, how's $50 off of making after getting a $500 guitar song, something like that.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you, can anybody, if we have someone who is
Mhm.
watching and is interested in doing this job, do you have a recommendation or suggestion in terms of doing this job?
That is a good question. Um, because it's not just black and white with this type of thing. I'm trying to think. I would say if you think that the info, that you have, like, oh well, so and so's at this hotel, or oh well, they're gonna be at this venue, let's go stand in the back, then I would say take the chance, because it might be worth it, it may not be worth it. I mean, you never know if you try. That's how I see
Definitely, yeah. You had to be proactive, and not only in this job, but any type of any type of business or any goal that you set out to do, you had to put in the work. You had to take the risks, and you have been done that amazingly. Me getting to the people. Sometimes
it.
I wonder, and I see your pictures on social media. It's like, okay, how does Shane do this? How does he
Hmm.
do meeting with different people, and especially connecting with celebrities, with some of my favorite hobbies when when I was a kid. Star
Hmm.
Wars, but more wrestling, especially wrestling.
Yes.
Is these are some of the hobbies that you had as a child, or we were different hobbies?
Yeah, all the stuff and all the people that I, try to meet is something that I've always had a love for. Like like what you said, I loved wrestling growing up as a kid. I still do to this day. I love Star Wars, the sci-fi genre, movies, music, you name it. I'm not really into sports. I mean, I think the sports people are more easier to meet than, like the actors and, the musicians. Like, for example, um, a quarterback, not quarterback, a tight end, football player on the Tampa Buccaneers versus meeting Taylor Swift. Like, what do you think is going to be easier to meet?
Definitely. I
You know,
mean, it's very
yeah.
interesting because I saw different pictures with different wrestlers. I mean, and different
Hmm.
people. I don't follow wrestling actively today as I did before. I like the wrestling in the late '90s, early 2000s. That for me,
Right.
that was the best period of wrestling. I think I'm not the only one who says that, but but I still like
Well.
to. But well, I like wrestling. I follow. Look, one of my hobbies that I have is very nostalgic things. Where I go back
Hmm.
to watch wrestling from the classics, or watch Star Wars, or do things that I used to have when a kid. That's what I like to do. It's an interesting hobby, like nostalgic hobby. Some people may call it like that. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm going to ask you different. Looking at the pictures, you met different people.
Hmm.
I'm gonna drop some names to see if if you took a picture with him over her. Uh,
Uh-huh.
you met Vince McMahon. I think you did.
I have, yes.
And how was that experience?
Uh, he's nice. He normally does sign, whatever you have. But unfortunately, like he's getting older and,
Hmm.
like he's getting more and more frail. I met him about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, like right a little bit after COVID. It was when they were still doing the Thunderdome, that whole virtual thing, in Tampa. And so I was at the hotel because I found out the hotel, all the wrestlers were staying at. And fortunately, he was staying at that one,
Hmm.
with his limousine out front. He comes out, hey, Mr. McMahon, can you sign? There's only like there were four of us, he looks at us, doesn't really say anything. So
Wow.
he's walking to the limo. And so we follow him, I mean, again, some of this stuff, can be kind of taboo in a way, like, oh, well, you stalk people, oh, well, you chase after them, blah, 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 but we'll get into that in a second. And so we get up there, he turns around. Oh, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, he kept like huffing and puffing, like, he was having a hard time breathing
Hmm.
because, it was so hot out there that day, very humid. It was like in the middle of summer, and he's like, okay, all right, all right. And then he got in the car. I mean, he wasn't rude or mean or anything like that, but just getting to have that experience of like meeting him, right there, saying, "Oh, I appreciate you," I think is worth it.
Oh,
Again, it's to each his own, how you what you get from the experience. It's like, well, if you couldn't say everything you wanted to say to this person, then it's not worth it. Or if they didn't really pay too much attention to it, then it was kind of kind of negative. But I try not to look at it like that. I mean, I do get that mindset sometimes. Believe me, it's really hard. But at the end of the day, just I'm really grateful that I even met the person. You know what I'm saying?
it must be a true honor and privilege, an honor of life to have met
Hmm.
this person, this man that you followed through for years. I mean, the creator. Let's put it. I mean, of modern wrestling. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
and I was truly amazed. I mean, when you met him, I was like, "Whoa, wait!" I mean, Shane did this. Amazing. I mean, I have so many people that I could ask you, and we can be here all night. To be honest, if you
Yeah.
met them or not,
Uh-huh.
Bret Hart, that you met him,
Bret
met him.
Hart, no, not yet. No.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. You need to meet him. You need to find a way to meet him.
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Austin,
No, not that one. No,
The
not
Rock,
yet.
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson. My friends have met him. I haven't yet. I haven't encountered a opportunity to meet him just yet, but that will come one day. Just
Let
wait and see.
let me keep me posted about that one. The
Yes,
Undertaker,
for sure.
The
I have
Undertaker.
met the Undertaker.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was okay. He's really tall. He's about like 6'10", close to 7 feet, if not 7 feet. He doesn't really say much. I'm not saying like he's mean or not really
It's like
friendly, but
it's like like the Undertaker on TV sometimes, something like that. Quiet.
kind of, yeah, in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. And the divas. Tell me about the divas. I mean, from the past to present, and what's going on in today, because I don't pay too much attention to wrestling. So
I mean the divas in wrestling, or just
yeah,
like
I mean, the
any?
divas that you have met, how's it been? If you can tell me.
Okay, yeah. Just yesterday, actually, I was at a AEW show, and I met Paige, slash Soraya. I don't know if you know who that is.
It heard sounds familiar. Yeah, it sounds familiar. I remember.
Yeah, she's like one of the popular ones nowadays. Not like back then, to where this set of ladies were really popular in their heyday, but now she's one of the top ones to meet. But she was really nice. Of course, it's great to meet like the old school, women, but at the same time, they've been in the business for a long, long time. And so, like, that interaction with the fans kind of got kind of old in a way. It's like, okay, well, you meet fans, let's say, okay, if you're just starting out as a wrestler, oh yeah, 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 I'm gonna meet all my fans. I'm gonna take time for each and every person. Let's say you do that for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, even. That kind of gets kind of tiring, and kind of repetitive, and so that kind of like makes that that how do I explain this, like that not positive, that magical feeling of having that interaction, you know not really there in a way, because like they're not as pleasant about it, if that makes sense.
Definitely, no. The wrestling business, again, I'm not. I've seen it from as a fan, but based
Hmm.
on the stories that I read, it's not an easy business. There's been a lot, a lot of history, struggles, situations in that industry, very demanding. Uh,
Yes.
and some people may say, "Oh, wrestling is fake," and all, but sure, but you take a risk doing the matches, you can get hurt. That's a reality,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and a lot of times people don't realize that. They say, "Oh, wrestling is fake," but the reality is that it's real. The result may
Right.
be predetermined, right? But the
Hmm.
what you do can there's a risk involved. So I mean, we can talk about this. I would love for you to talk about this in another in another episode about wrestling
Yes.
and changing from wrestling to movie to my Star Wars. You know, have you met
Yes.
people from Star Wars? George Lucas, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher.
Well, I haven't really met the top-notch people just yet.
So
um
I'm ahead of you in that department because
uh
I met Carrie
huh
Fisher. I met Carrie Fisher. Remember the book? Remember that about a year before she passed away in 2016.
uh I remember her passing away
Yeah.
around then, and I thought I was gonna go and try to meet her in Tampa, because she was gonna be at a comic convention there. I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to go, but just I guess it wasn't meant to be, because ended up not really working out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. It's sad when she passed away. To this very day, I still can't believe that she passed away. But I have that picture
I
with
know,
her.
right?
Yeah, I have the picture with her and her autograph, and I value that. That's
Mm,
worth to me a lot. Same with the guy
yes,
who did R2D2, Kenny, Mr. Kenny Baker, who passed away that same year, and I was able to
yes,
take a
you did.
yeah, I was able to take a picture with him. Then later, a couple years later, the one Peter Mayhew who did Chewbacca, I also took a picture
Hmm.
with him a couple of years before he passed away. So those
Hmm.
experiences are unique. I think it is worth a lot. It's very valuable to go to those events. Because I went to a couple of Star Wars conventions years ago. So it's really amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And again, each experience is going to be different. Like, if I was to meet, Mark Hamill, and he was really nice, and the experience was great, versus, if you met him, and he wasn't really pleasant, or the experience, wasn't really that great, it's like, you have to really go off of your own personal, experience, and really what you want to get out of it. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying?
No, definitely. And the celebrities face a high demand in life. It's not always pleasant. There's a lot of demands. There's a lot
Right.
of people paparazzi. So there's a lot of people that trying to like stalk them. And, it's not always a pleasant life. I mean, you know,
No, not at all. I mean, I try to be respectful, for when I do try to ask them. Like, I will never like go up to them at a dinner table and be like, "Oh, can you sign, my CD or, this and this and that, or I know the hotel and the airport can be kind of borderline, that what's the right word I'm looking for? Um, invasion of privacy. Is that the right word?
yeah, invasion of privacy.
Okay. Yeah. But at the same time, if you don't go to those places, then you can't actually meet that person. You know, that's going to be feasible because, some people out there, charge an arm and a leg, just for a meeting, and it depends on, if that money's going to be worth spending or not, if you even have the kind of money.
Definitely. It's not an easy life, but it's very interesting, and we really appreciate you sharing all of this with us. With us, your perspective and experience at this has been truly unique, and so definitely, I thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. You're welcome. So
Yeah.
Shane, now let's go from the celebrity world. I know you do other things for autism and disabilities. Tell us about your work
Yes.
that you do for the community.
Okay, so it goes to my motivational group hurdle, which I explained earlier.
Mhm.
So we haven't really traveled outside of Orlando just yet. That's the next step. But for now, we're trying to keep things a bit local. Like I said earlier, we went to Special Hearts Farm and spoke there. We spoke at an expo for advocacy back in August. I forget the name of it. Sorry, it escapes me.
Mhm.
And we conjoined forces, with another young man who does have a disability. It's a bit different. He has cerebral palsy. He's unfortunately confined to a wheelchair, and he's doing the best that he can. Like, he's an author now. Like, he has his own, like I said, his book out. He has like his own like little character doll, like, of himself. I thought it was pretty cool. And so we like conjoined forces and we spoke at that event, and just, we really made a difference, you know and just, there's not really a end goal for, what we want to do with hurdle, but just we want to try as many things, as we possibly can. An idea that we have is a theater show about autism. I mean, have you seen any of those?
I think theater for autism. I see from other organizations.
No,
Different.
I mean, like an actual like play, like a show, like a story about someone who has autism, and then, like, maybe their experiences, and having that be like, a play that we could have different actors act out.
Yeah, I heard about different ones in other parts of the country, but I never been to actually one.
Okay,
Not yet. Not yet.
for what we hope to do, down the road. Um, and like I said before, like, getting out there, like the different expos, I think is going to be one of the main focuses right now. Because we have applied to, different ones around the country. We haven't really gotten a I guess just yet, but I think it's a matter of time before we do.
Oh, definitely. And I know you guys have a lot of great plans ahead. So I really, for you guys to get to those goals, to be able that will be truly amazing.
Hmm.
And Shane, as we wrap up our interview, I want to ask you, as a
Hmm.
self-advocate, we talk about autism, right? Social media, the community, society, everywhere. But from your
Right.
perspective and what you've seen so far in the work with the community, what do you think is missing
Hmm.
still in regards to autism? What do you think that is still missing, and what we need to do?
Missing, um, I would say understanding. um like, if, okay, this person has their own needs and, their own requests, like, each person is different. You know how this saying goes, if you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism, not like you met one, you meet them all. you know so I think just having people understand that we all have different needs, and just really trying to understand how we are as an individual. Like, of course, my needs and my struggles are going to be different from yours. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, it's different. Each autistic,
Mm-hmm.
each person with autism has his own story, the families, and we had to learn from the differences, the challenges, but also the abilities that each autistic human being has. So I think that's the most important thing in our mission.
Yes.
And you're a great inspiration, a great example of your
Thank you.
story and the struggles that you have overcome and the success that you have and you continue to have, and you're goal driven person that you have different goals is very, very
Mm-hmm.
inspirational, and I really appreciate you for having shared your story with all of us. And but before we go,
Thank you.
Shane, you're welcome, but
Mm-hmm.
before we go, I just wanted to see if you have like a final message for society or for parents that are watching this interview right
Mm-hmm.
now, or autistic individuals. What message do you want to share with us?
I would say don't ever be afraid of doing what you love to do. Like, let's say if you want to try to make music, or if you want to be, a self advocate for yourself or for other people, take a step out of your comfort zone. It is going to be hard, but again, it's going to be worth the risks. I mean, don't be afraid of failing. And if something doesn't go right, it's not the end of the world. Just get back up and try again. I know a lot of those on the spectrum, love movies, and maybe like they go by different quotes and like different things like that. Maybe try to find a motivational like quote from a certain movie that really gets you through something. Like what I said just now about don't be afraid, pick yourself back up, from like Batman Begins. Wonderful story about failing, like he wasn't afraid to get back up and try again. And that's going to be the main key. Dedication, um and motivation. If you really find something that you're passionate about, keep on going, and then you will succeed.
Definitely, that's the key, to find something that motivates you and to keep moving ahead in life. That's the most
Hmm.
important thing, and your story speaks for itself. And we really appreciate you sharing that with us, Shane. If people are interested in knowing more about your work or how to support you, do you have social media, website, or how they can reach to you and contact you?
For my celebrity work, if you want to take a look at all the people I've met or that I will meet, or if you even want to maybe join me, if you want to meet certain people, reach out to me on my Instagram, my Facebook. It's under Shane Campfield. Or if you want to learn more about my motivational work, for Hurdle, go to the Facebook page, Hurdle. That's just out as Hurdle. It's going to be the logo with the different letters and different colors with the mountain in the background. And so we have our our YouTube link there, our Linktree website. Send us a message. If you want to try to get involved with us, because as Hurdle is growing, we're also going to try to recruit more people to be part of our group. So the more the merrier. So if you really want to try to get out there and spread your message, if you really want to try to find someone to connect with and communicate with, we are that the people.
Definitely, I'm going to put all the links to your social media contact, once this episode gets published, so that way
Hmm.
people can reach out to you for more, to find ways to support you.
Yes.
Well, Shane, I'm very happy that we did this interview. I mean, it's truly amazing, your story. So proud of you, of what you do, and you're a great guy. And
Thank you.
I just want to, there's always welcome, always feel welcome to come back here. I would love to talk about more about your celebrity stories in another time. So definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
because I know we have more, but it will take us, if we talk more about all your stories, we will never leave here. We'll be here for days. So
I
I
know, right?
definitely. So Shane, thank you. I want to thank you so much for participating in this interview in my podcast, My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. I greatly appreciate you, and I wish you always the best for you and your career and life.
Thank you. And, as you as well, I really love, your work that you're doing. And, you really are a inspiration to the, community, not just the autism community, but, I say the community in itself, you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, this is the end of another episode of My Time with Tony Hernandez Pumarejo. Tony hopes you liked it. If you'd like to learn more about the work Tony does, subscribe to him on his social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, which is now X, and his LinkedIn page. You can also follow Tony on his website at tonyhernandezpumarejo.com. Also, if you are interested in getting a copy of his book, An Autism Unscripted Life, you can purchase it on Amazon or any book-selling platform. You can also obtain a copy through his website. So, until the next time you meet, thank you and have a wonderful day. Blessings.